Federiga, who want to comment on that. But first, I just want to go to Daniel very quickly to get a response to that. Daniel, before you give us your response, Daniel, I want you to take a listen to what the King of Spain had to say. He's addressed the nation. Let's watch what he had to say.
The Catalan society is fractured and confronted. Those authorities have undermined the feelings of affection and solidarity that have united and will unite the whole of the Spaniards. Their irresponsible behavior could even put at risk the economic and social stability of Catalonia and the whole of Spain.
So, Daniel, listening to the King there and listening to what Isabel-Helena told us, that the Catalans have made representations to Madrid on the question of independence. As she pointed out, they've been there 18 times. They've had the door slammed in their faces. What is Madrid's response to that?
Well, one thing that has been very strange in the way the Catalan authorities have been managing this is that on one hand they would say they wanted a dialogue, and on the other they would announce their progressive breaking of the laws. So, or even the former president announced how they plan to trick the state. So I think negotiation is very important, and I think that there should be a debate in Spain about the federalism or the way that we want to arrange this. And I think there's a margin to increase home rule, but I think this has to be done within the law. The Constitution is something we have to respect. We can change it through process, but I think we have to do it within the law. Okay,
Alberto, go ahead.
Well, there are so many things, and it's always, I will say, as a Spaniard, which is my other land, it's impossible that two Spaniards agree on anything. But we have a lot of fun around the table, keeping strong feelings and positions, and being static and monolithic. Let me point out something that maybe people haven't paid attention to. In political terms, I'm not going to go to talk about our great democracy. We're not going to talk about the history of the Catalan-Spain issue. But on basic political terms, this is a crash of two conservative trains. There is a conservative political party in Madrid, and there is a conservative nationalistic independentist party in Barcelona. And then there are strange bedfellows within that Pujol environment that comes back to the 70s in the newborn Spanish democracy. So the situation is strange. I don't agree in the way the Conservative Party in Madrid has handled the situation, but at the end of the day, you cannot fall into the emotional trap that the nationalistic movement in Catalonia tries to push their population into.
Right, Federiga.
Yeah, also I would like to point out that I understand Catalonia wants more autonomy. Fine, this is an ongoing dialogue, and I also agree, as I said before, that Madrid didn't behave the way they should have behaved. I mean, they clearly mishandled the situation, both the Prime Minister and the King. That being said, what does a independent Catalonia can do? I mean, out of the European Union, because the laws of the European Union the treaties are very clear. You need a unanimity from the current member states as a new member to join. So Spain would never vote. So Catalonia would be out of the European Union.
Although so far the European Union has been very reluctant to comment on this. The only comment they've made is it's an internal Spanish matter.
Yeah, I mean, well, yes and no, in the sense that Juncker has been very lukewarm. He actually made a mistake early in September, because he said he would respect a yes vote, only to then come back on it and said, no, I didn't mean that. I mean a yes vote with a proper referendum. So what they say is that if there is a real referendum, a proper referendum within the realm of the Spanish Constitution, so not this referendum, and that referendum gets a yes, then they will respect it, all right? Even in that case, Spain would be able to block Catalan accession to the European Union. The Parliament has debated the issue, and they called on negotiation on both sides. But yeah, there is a vacuum of the European Union from this point of view, and if I may say, there is also a vacuum from this side of the Atlantic, because a different a different administration would have called on both Barcelona and Madrid and say, hello, please remember you are members of NATO. What do you want to do with that? So this whole situation is going on also because Brussels is lukewarm and DC is completely absent.
And I would like to add about pointing out something about the fact of the obsession with the referendum and with the constitutional issue that implies and all that. And I would bring to the table something. For 40 years we have had a democracy where people have freely, legally and structurally voted. And the majority of the votes are out there, and you have a lot of votes, millions of votes, who are not independentists. So this referendum obsession, I think, is being contradicted by the real democracy.
All right, let me go to Isabel-Helena. Isabel-Helena, what are the options now for Catalans? You know, there was a former Catalan president, Artur Mas, who said recently, he was interviewed by the Financial Times, and he said that Catalans are not ready for what he called real independence. What are the options? Is it independence or nothing, or would Catalans be prepared to look at some kind of perhaps bigger autonomy for the region, maybe one country, two systems, something like that?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that Artur Mas later on provided to the international media the recorded conversation he had with the journalist, the Financial Times journalist, and he said that what that journalist said was not exactly what he said and what he meant. Said that. Again, the Catalan people had the opportunity to cast a ballot and decide on their collective future on October the 1st. And more than 90% of the Catalan people that voted on that referendum did that for the independence. And tomorrow morning, probably tomorrow afternoon, likely, the president of Catalonia will declare independence. And that's the only choice that the president has, just to follow the popular mandate of the Catalan people. We are a democracy, and the Catalan people has stuck. And this is what the Catalan people has said. Said that he insisted that which has been the Catalan way and has been from the very beginning the way that we try to move forward in this political process. All doors are open to dialogue, and it would be really very welcome to have international mediation, try to sit down with the Spanish government and try to reach an agreement to implement the decision that the Catalan people freely, peacefully and democratically made on October the 1st.
No, I'm sorry. They didn't democratically, peacefully made a decision. The people who were in favor of the of independence went and voted in favor of independence. The others didn't go to vote.
Right.
It's a fundamental. This is not a referendum which has been organized in a legal way, allowing every single person to vote. There is a huge difference in that. And you also have to understand your responsibilities vis-à-vis the rest of Europe and the rest of the world. I mean, virtually every single country, probably a couple excluded, but almost every single country in Europe has strong minorities.
Right now, what there is an emotional,
Can I answer that, please?
Surrounded by social media mess. I think is complicated.
Okay, Isabel-Helena, go ahead.
The Catalan, yes, yeah, thank you. The referendum that took place on October the 1st was a perfectly legal, perfectly legitimate referendum held by the Catalan government. That was 100% legal.
Excuse me, can I ask you what are the bases? What are the fundamental bases of a free vote?
We tried many times to arrange, to agree with the Spanish government a way for the Catalan people to be able to express themselves.
Even if it were legal. Even if it were legal.
Many times.
Even if it were legal.
The only problem was these brutal and violent attacks by the Spanish police forces. They seized.
I'm sorry, nobody is disputing. We are all in agreement. I'm sorry, Elena. We are all in agreement that Madrid misbehaved. But Democracy 101 The basic of a referendum is that everyone who has the right to vote is able to vote. This was not clearly what happened on the October 1st.
Even if it were legal,
okay.
and even I understand I understand the point that is being made. It has been made to me by many of my Catalan friends. But my point is, even if it were legal, that it was not the case, how you morally, ethically and politically can embrace that result full of abstentions, full of people looking the other way, and impose that decision of that small group into the majority of the land.
Okay,
I just don't get it.
I need to go to Daniel. Daniel, what's your view on this? Does it look like more confrontation on the streets of Catalonia if independence is declared on Tuesday?
Well, I hope it doesn't, and I hope that there's a peaceful solution. And I think this is clearly the biggest constitutional crisis in Spain since in modern democracy. Only that besides the vote being illegal, I think it's also important to remember that the majority is very small. Even if it was not legal, but if it has been legal, then you're taking a decision that is faithful, that is going to have enormous consequences, and you're not even half the population. Okay. So I think that's not democracy. That's a tyranny of a minority.
Isabel-Helena,
and I hope a peaceful agreement can be reached.
Isabel-Helena, I have 30 seconds for you to respond.
Yes. 2 years ago, the Catalan government held the regional elections, and following that, there is a majority pro-independence majority in the Catalan government with 72 seats out of 135. Okay. The supporters of the status quo fell far behind with only 39% of the vote and 52 seats out of 135. Okay. So there is a great difference between the votes of unionists and the votes of independents. Okay. And that's very clear, and that was very clear in that regional election.
All right, we have to go. Thanks to all of you for being with us. We'll have to see what happens after that announcement on Tuesday. That is it for this edition of The Heat. I'm Anand in Washington, D.C. Thanks for being with us.